mobile phones. And men folk would be camping near the scene of crime, not outside. What they would do, they would camp themselves at a hillock, at a vantage point, so that they can see the lion coming, and when it is appropriate, then kill the lion and put the traps. And if you catch them, they will never tell their name correctly. These are all pseudonyms. Now I come to the exact original photographs of the scene of crime that will give, and whatever I have narrated so far, that will fall in place after you see all these photographs. The first and the second scene of crime in Junagadh district. I am very happy to inform all of you that Mr. Rajan is here, and when I was had investigated this case, he was with the British Indian High Commission here, and he was the first person to spot that said it's a very good investigation, and he motivated me a lot. And then his boss, Mr. Jain, they both took lots of interest and promoted this investigation at a national level. Now if you see, this is the route of the lion. You can see the barricades by the bushes. These are the trap holes or red ones. These are the trap holes. And the lion would cross by this and get entangled in the roots out here, in the trap holes out here. This is again a long shot. This is the trap hole in which they put the anchor, so that the trap gets anchored out here. This is another trap hole. You can see the severed tail of a lion. You can see a carcass of hyena. And this was very intriguing. What is hyena carcass doing here? So we reconstructed that when they were de-skinning the lion, possibly the hyena might have come thinking that there is some feast today. So they would have hit it with a stone. And that is how we were able to reconstruct that the hyena had a cut out here. So we constructed that possibly this could have been, this is what we did, the reconstruction of scene of crime, the management of the scene of crime. Now if you see, this is again the face, the head of a lion cub. You can see how brutally the lion cub has been put to death. They are not interested in the skin. Then we got so many paws, but there was absolutely no claw anywhere. Then they stick with the spear. Now the next photograph is very interesting. I found that near where the lion had been trapped, there were lots of scratches on the tree out here. So this intrigued me. So what could this be done? So I was generally discussing with my forensic experts, and then we came to a conclusion that suppose this is the trap, and the lion has been trapped inside the trap, and it cannot move further from there. So what it would have done? It would have possibly caught hold of the tree and tried to extract itself. And that is how the scratches on the barks are there. But again, I use this forensically. What we did, from that bark, from this bark, through a tweezer, we picked up pieces of nails of lion. And later on we went in for DNA fingerprinting, and we proved that the small pieces that were found from the bark indeed belong to Asiatic lions. So these are some of the small pieces that we got from the bark. Then this is the trap. This is the anchor. They will dig a hole and they will put this anchor inside, and this trap will be here. The lion gets trapped here, and then this anchor does not let it go. So what will happen after 4 to 5 hours, the lion will be totally tired and fagged out. Then those people will be descending from the vantage point, and they will spear the tiger and then skin it. This is how the leg gets entangled in the jaws. These are the jaws, and these are the springs. You can see a tiger, how it has been trapped with a trap out here, and you can see the anchor inside the ground here. This anchor does not let the tiger or the animal go away from there. Then this is the blue button that I was talking to you about. This is the water point that we got. This is the skin of the lion. See how brutally they have cut the skin. We also found a piece of tobacco, what we call tulsi. So we developed fingerprints from this tulsi packet. Then finally, this was the matchbox called Chameli, which led us to Madhya Pradesh. So match leads to a catch. Then these bidi butts, we preserved it in a plastic pack, Then this is the dry fruit packet. This is the butter bite biscuit that we found at the scene of crime. The Tata salt that we found at the scene of crime. And this is the place where they would cut the branch of a tree and chisel it for putting it on the arms like spear or axe. This was the jaggery packet. These are the bamboo sticks which are stained with blood, and the implement and the arm has been taken away from that bamboo stick. And that is how we were able to develop the blood of a lion from these sticks, and then later on we went in for DNA fingerprinting to prove that these blood belong to the lions. Then this is the place of the third incident in which the villagers told us that we found number of people running away from this field. So that's a good piece of evidence, and you will be happy to know that we were able to get the shoe prints from the wet fields of the farm there. You can see the shoe print out here. You can see very visibly here. So each and everything was videographed, each and everything was photographed properly for the courts. Now this is the lady from whom we were able to get 2 pieces of claws. These are the claws that we found from them. And the male Nanka and Mojar Singh, and this is the lady who was the kingpin, the gang leader of the entire Bahiliya tribe. Now just watch the features of the people whom we had apprehended with what description had Melinda Wright given us. These are the people who we apprehended. If you remember that Melinda Wright had told that all the women will be having number of children. Just see the number of children with them. This was one of the profiles that she told us. Now I would be showing you a very good photograph. There is a very celebrated photographer for Tim that could be a good information to you. His name is Ulhas Karant. He is a noted wildlife photographer. So I was invited by Karnataka police to let them know how I detected this case, because that time it was not prosecuted. So I delivered a lecture there, and in that lecture session I also heard Ulhas Karant showing his photographs. And Tim, to tell you very honestly, this photograph implored on me that I should invite you for this. I thought, I've learned so many things from the photograph. So this is the photograph that he showed to us during his presentation. And if you see it very distinctly, and if you observe it very clearly, you will be finding the same traps were recovered by us also. The same variety of people. And this photograph is taken in Karnataka. So this photograph gave me an indication that my investigation could have some Karnataka connection. Karnataka is another state in the south. So this is how we thought that there could be some linkages with Karnataka. Now these are the arms and implements that we got from them. You can see the gods and goddesses. This is again that anchor. You can see a catty. You can see some wild animal parts and some implements this side. And when we asked them, what are these weapons for? They said, sir, it is for cutting vegetables and all. Do you think it is meant for cutting vegetables? It's a precision weapon for de-skinning. So, and we got blood stains from these weapons, which again were analyzed from the forensic point of view, and we developed DNA. Now if you see here, this is an axe, this again that claw. You can see the mobile phone connectivity, then this BD, which we matched from the scene of crime, the same variety. And the matchbox, and then the other mobile related. And this is our election card. They were also voters. Then again, the bamboo sticks having blood stains. Then these are small parts of animals which they used to sell. This is a small piece of the lion skin. And this again, that anchor. This is the jug from where we lifted fingerprints because someone would have been catching it. This is the third of the case of Bhavnagar, which is outside the scene of crime, outside the boundaries of the jungle. Again, this is the farm from where we dug up 4 pits. That farmer, said that the foul smell is coming out. We came here and we dug these pits. From these pits, and this is the pit where they had dug, and this is the place at a vantage point where the poachers used to park themselves. And once on this path of land, it is trapped, they would come down from here and kill it and then dispose of the things out here. This is again the same type of trap, the same modus operandi. So what we did, now it was very difficult for conducting a post-mortem there. So what we did, we had the vets and the forensic experts right at the scene of crime. And you can see our vet experts and the forensic experts, spreading all the thing on a piece of plastic and then looking after all the things. I asked them how many lions would have been killed here. They said, sir, it is very difficult to find out from these remnants. I said, no, it is very easy to find out because number of hearts, just look for number of hearts. So finally we were able to get 4 hearts. So we concluded that 4 lions were killed here in the last incident. Now these are the pieces, remnants that we found. This is the scene of crime, that pit. This is again a pit. This is the stick that we found from there. This is the place where they had hidden the trap, and this is again the path of the trap which we found. I remember I was telling you, the path leads to the forest, and they would bury tools inside. So one of them tools got from there. This is the trap we found. This is again a trap. These are the types of implements that we recovered from them. This is bird netting. This is the spring and the anchor, the photographs of gods, the mobile charger, again so many implements, and finally all these people were apprehended and arrested. How many people did we arrest? We made a photograph, we made a list, and this photograph was shown all over the state, that if you require these people in any of the cases, kindly get back to us. Now the photographs you can see, they all were behind bars. One of the person who was absconding, we declared reward on him for 10,000 rupees, that whosoever arrests him will get the plan. But the investigation took a turn, and the turn took when the Honorable Chief Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, he said, I would like to visit the scene of crime. And I was wondering what Chief Minister should visit a scene of crime. And I had the privilege of traveling with him for almost about 4 hours in the jeep. You can see our Prime Minister taking interest in wildlife in a red t-shirt, and this is me explaining about the trap. These are all the jeep, and this is the Forest Minister, the Chief Conservator of Forest, our IG, and all other people. This is, he's talking to a forest guard. This is the trap that he is seeing. So what action did we take after all these arrests? Because they gave us lots of information. We came to know that there is connect from Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. After analyzing the CDRs, the call details, the reach of the call details went up to UP, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat. That is why we dispatched teams to those places. You remember the photograph of Ulhas Karint, way down south in Karnataka. Now, what are the forensic interfaces that we did in this case? Now, at the actual scene of crime, there would be no eyewitnesses. And that is why I felt very happy that I will be able to build up the case forensically. So, forensics be the voice for those who can't speak. So, forensics became a voice for the people, for those animals who possibly cannot speak. So, forensic evidence, there was heavy dependence. I requested the state government that I should be given a team of forensic experts. So, a team of 15 forensic experts was with me inside the jungle for almost 2.5 months. On the spot testing facility. Whatever things we used to get, the forensic expert used to test it and tell us. And the director of the Forensic Science Laboratory, he visited the scene of crime, and the deputy director of the Forensic Science Laboratory, he camped with us inside the jungle. What are the examples? We did polygraph, we went in for brain fingerprinting, we went in for narco analysis. Never ever before in wildlife crime investigation had polygraph, brain fingerprinting or narco analysis been performed in any of the investigations. So this is the departure which we were able to make forensically. All the blood and whatever body remains were found there. We went in for DNA fingerprinting. So much was the precision that we were able to tell that which lion was killed by which person, connecting them through the DNA fingerprinting. Then we matched the holes with the traps. Which trap was used in which hole? That was the precision of the investigation. Then all the weapons were analyzed for blood, hair on the traps. We took their hand wash because I thought that if these people have killed the lion, I am sure something or the other, some trace evidence will be found on their hands. So we took their hand wash, and simultaneously I had read in forensics that if you are lucky, from the crevices of the nails, you can possibly get evidences, trace evidences up to even 6 to 8 months. That knowledge I had. So what I did, I took out all the nail clippings from their fingers, all the people, all 45 people who have been arrested. And this was sent to forensic examination. Then I thought that if these people don't take bath and they don't change their clothes, obviously if they have skinned the animals, some blood should be found on their clothes. So we got them all the clothes from them and sent it for forensic examination, and all these things then were sent for forensic examination, and the packet in which they used to transport all those things, we also got it analyzed forensically. Incidentally, at one of the scene of crime, we found a bandage. So we lifted the bandage and we connected that person after he was arrested that yes, indeed, he had a bruise in his leg, and this bandage was used by him. We took the statement of the doctor. He said, yes, this person had come to me and I had put this bandage. From that bandage also we recovered the DNA. Now, one of the most interesting parts of our investigation, I talk about rustic forensics. And I am sorry, you would really laugh at this, but I told you that when I investigate wildlife crime, I really become wild. And wild thoughts, wild experiments, wild action. So we used buffalo as a forensic evidence. Does it intrigue you? What has buffalo got to do in a land poaching case? So the story is that when the case was not detected, I was roaming inside the Gir sanctuary. So one of my team members, he said there is a very old person, almost about 90 years of age, and he knows all the things in the Gir sanctuary. Sir, why don't we go and meet him? So I said, chalo yaar, let's go to meet him if something input can be got. So he asked me, what makes you come here? I told that lions have been killed here and we are not able to get where had they been killed. He said, it is so easy. So I thought he is a very old person, he might not be understanding what I am saying. He said repeatedly, he said, no, it is very easy. Within half an hour we will come to know where the lions are killed. So I was intrigued, how can this happen? So what information that he gave, he said, what you do, you catch hold of some children, 15, 16 years old children, mount them on a buffalo and then let them go inside the jungle. I was scared because suppose the lion comes there and they kill the child or the buffalo, then I'm in a fix. He said, nothing will happen, don't worry, do it. So the important information that he gave, he said, the buffaloes, the moment they get the smell of the lion, they will not move an inch from that place. So wherever they don't move an inch, you look within 1 kilometer, something or the other you will find. And one of the scenes of crime we were able to find through this knowledge. So what we call, using the local knowledge. I was discussing this matter with Debbie Banks of Environmental Investigation Agency, and she was starting to say, why don't we collect all such information, the local information, which is never written in any forensic book. Let us collect such informations. So in our case, DNA played a major role. From the fingernails clippings, from the clothes, we were able to extract blood and we were able to get the DNA fingerprinting done of Asiatic lions, and we were able to connect the accused with the animals. Now I come to the trial. It is a very important thing. We have collected all the evidences, but if you are not able to put it before the honorable judge, how are you going to get conviction? So what happened? We said that I would like to get a special public prosecutor, right from the judicial magistrate first class court up to the Supreme Court, so that in case these people come, then we have a proper prosecution with us. So bail of all the accused was rejected because of these special public prosecutor at JMFC level. JMFC closed, Sessions Court also did not give them. And ultimately from High Court, they had to withdraw their bail application because they were sure that with these evidences, the nail evidences, the cloth evidences, they are not going to get bail. Simultaneously, there was a sustained combing operation with the state's cooperation in Junagadh, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Madhya Pradesh police. There were great amount of support from all these police forces. So a newspaper came item that Pardhi tribe termed the biggest threat to wildlife. Now additionally, when we changed the CDR analysis, we came to know that in UP also these people had gone. So we sent a team to UP, and again UP police was able to get so many tiger pieces from them. These are some of the photographs which they were able to recover from UP. These are the recovery done by the UP police, again of all tigers. Again, if you see the features, they are the same ones. So there is a direct connectivity from Karnataka to Gujarat to UP, from east to west to south. These people are operating in pan-India. These are the people who were arrested in UP. Then we sent teams to Karnataka. Karnataka played also a very good role. With our team, the Karnataka Forest Department and the Wildlife Crime Cell, what they did, they caught hold of 23 leopard skins, 3 tiger skins and 20 river otter skins based on our investigation and the connectivity with this person, my namesake Keshav Kumar, whom we brought from Karnataka and arrested in our case. These are the recoveries that were made by the Karnataka police in this case. So finally, a breaking news. After the trial was over, 38 accused convicted in all the 3 cases, the biggest conviction. What was the award punishment given? The punishment given was 3 years and rupees 10,000 fine each case. So in all 6 years, they were behind bars for 6 years. I was just going through the conviction rate in wildlife crime. I was startled to know that in tiger poaching case, the conviction rate is only 4%. And this is precisely because I feel that no forensics is generally used. The newspapers were agog with news and they carried out the news. This gentleman whom we had recorded, he got arrested after the case was finally convicted. It was a very good story of cooperation within various states. The Geo-NGO partnership, the partnership of Wildlife Protection Society of India, an NGO, or Belinda Wright, they helped us a lot, and I give full credit to her for giving us the first leads. It was widely covered in the media. The India Today came up with a 2-page article. Then Sunday India also came. It was highlighted on the first page of Times of India. Rupees 5 crores is what they killed the jungle king for. Very interestingly, they wrote, CID used net to nab poachers, internet, net to nab poachers. Wildlife of BBC carried this news. I would recall Bobby Dev, who is sitting here, he sent me a copy of this BBC magazine to me back home, and that's still lying with me. The media came up with a campaign called Save the Lion. Then saving Asiatic lions, open wells in Gir to be covered. That is spin-off effect. Soon forensic vans in Gir to bolster police probe. Mobile lion meat testing FSL van. A new van was created by the Forensic Science Laboratory. Incidentally, I was very happy to receive this Wildlife Service Award in 2013 for detection of this case. And in 2017, again a forensic award. I delivered this lecture at Interpol, before WWF, before SAWEN, before the American Embassy. And finally, I concluded that we need to bring science and law together. What could be the best panacea for this? That get more science in the courtroom. If we are able to get science in the courtroom, conviction can never be denied to you. So I am selling the idea among all the people who are sitting here and all across the places that prosecution and conviction also leads to conservation. As a police officer, how you can contribute? I can do a good investigation so that these people get convicted. And I would also like, very happy to tell you that after 2007, till date, there has been no poaching incident in Gujarat. 2007 and 2024. And as a result of that, I should not say that it was only because of this case, but this case was a landmark case which led the state government take very many proactive steps. And as a result of that, this is the latest figure that we have about 674 lions as per 2020 census. I'm sure in 2025 it is going to cross 1000. Now the lions are coming out of the forest and loitering in the nearby towns. So I end my presentation here. Thank you so much for giving a very patient hearing to me. Thank you so much. So I end my presentation here, and now I would welcome Tim, who will be taking over from here. I spoke on investigation. He will be speaking on conservation. So he will be with you. Please, Tim. Yeah, come. Sorry. I think you'll have to put this. You want him some help? Got it? Should be good.
Hello, I hope you can all hear me there. All good?
Yeah, it's
well, thank you so much for that amazing talk. And I think what I really want to do is to, well, first of all, I'm going to sort of, if this is going to work. Interesting. Bear with me one moment. I'm going to do this manually. So bear with me. It's working. Yes, I think so. So forgive me for that. I just need a moment. Right. So my area of interest is actually in communication around the stories of the natural world. And many of my works are about public engagement. Here in Germany, you can see the scale, and Austria, and currently I have a number of museum shows in China. I think I've got over 1 million visitors last year alone. So my interest is how to tell the stories and how to engage people in terms of really caring, empathy. Empathy has been shown to lead to pro-environmental outcomes. This is Naturist in Paris. This is a current show with the Banca Foundation in Spain. So a lot of this is about education and storytelling. So really, a lot of my images are about, in a sense, connecting us to the story. So here, for example, with the Bengal, which actually is another success story in India. Just mentioned the doubling of the Asiatic lion in population. The tigers in the last 20 years have also doubled to a population of 3,100. So two extraordinary success stories in India of two iconic species. When it comes to the Asian elephant, obviously there are many challenges with the fragmentation of habitat and many projects to do with mitigating that. The human conflict, the trampling from the elephants, and a lot of this is about trying to find solutions and mitigation. I think earlier in the year there was a survey for snow leopards in India, and I think they recorded 718. So it's very, very encouraging. But there are species like this. I'm sorry that Pinocchio's got his end of his clicked off there. I can assure you it does continue. The gharial is a very evolutionarily distinct, globally endangered species from northeastern India. It's one of those, of the crocodilians, it's unique, and hence it's long, as I say, Pinocchio is like snoot, so it can catch fish. But there are many challenges to do with controlling the netting, the fishing, and the habitat, but a very unique species. And Another field is the vultures. Now, vultures have been, in a sense, the population of vultures is decimated through Africa as well as through India. But in India, it's to do with a veterinary product, an anti-inflammatory product, that's seen 95% of the population literally collapse. Now, earlier on, you mentioned about health and the whole relationship between keeping the biodiversity. In the case of the vultures, they're nature's natural cleaners. And with the demise of the population, near extinct in the areas, it had a significant effect on I think it was 4% of something like more deaths in areas where the vultures were present had become near extinct. The reason for this is to do with things like the increase in feral dogs, because the vultures weren't taking the carcasses, and this led to more outbreaks of rabies. So it is to be mindful that protecting the natural world is in our interests, and in the case of the vultures, are very unique. Although they're often seen as the sort of the demons, the icons of death, they're very, very important. So you have characters like this. This is we were speaking about deities earlier, like in the case of the snake and the elephant and the tiger. In Aztec tradition, this creature, the axolotl, was the manifestation of the god Oxal that took the souls to the underworld, the setting sun. But modern science has been fascinated by this animal because it can grow back parts of its brain, it'd be quite useful, and limbs, and it's that sort of connection and importance to the natural world. I dressed up in one of these onesies. This is in Sichuan province, Wolong, and it's a reintroduction program, trying not to encourage them to recognize a human form. But one of the things that's really important is how to create that empathy through imagery of animals. This is the rarest tortoise in the world from Madagascar, called the plowshare tortoise. Now, to try to dissuade the 500, or less than 500 in the wild, they actually have to engrave the shells in the hope that they can track it, but also dissuade the illegal wildlife trade. This is the nursery where they had a break-in to the nursery, and 10% of the population of the species would find a suitcase on the way to Bangkok. And today they have actually posted armed guards around the nursery in Madagascar. Similar for this was Sudan, the last northern white rhino. And what's extraordinary, it actually had a safe, a huge safe kind of system where it went back at night. This northern white rhino was the last of its species as a male, and died in 2018. There are 2 females left. There is something very humbling looking at an animal that you know is the last of its species. A lot of my work's been looking and researching with social scientists. What kind of images make us truly care? And there have been a lot of surprises that came up. We took images of my animal portraits, which for some people made people feel uneasy. And we took traditional wildlife imagery, taken mostly by National Geographic photographers. They had to be published, so it's equivalent level. And we found that the images of wildlife images, traditional wildlife images, did not raise very high levels of empathy, and in fact no more than the people who'd seen no images of animals at all. And the images that were more personal, more anthropomorphic, made people uneasy, but it raised levels of empathy, which showed that for many years the environmentalists invested in romanticizing the natural world, when in actual fact it actually often has failed to create change. So the challenge is how to grab attention, how to bring people to that, and then to explore the natural environment. These are lowland western gorillas. And this particular gorilla, called Jala, I'd met in captivity in Kent at the Asmal in Port Lynn. I went back after its reintroduction in Gabon 2 years later, when it had been in 2 years in Gabon, and it had started breeding, and in fact it looked much healthier. So to meet an animal like that, having met it in captivity, and then when it was reintroduced, it's very difficult to deny that sense of connection when you look at that. My images are often there to create an intimacy that's almost related to human portraiture. The challenge is to make it relatable. We look at an image like this, it looks like a very tender moment. But a primatologist would recognize that it's a dominant bonobo with a subordinate female. So we've got to be mindful. It's about how we, in a sense, interpret. In the case of the shafaka here, named after its name from Madagascar, you have an incredible sense of body language. It mirrors us. It's very important to make images relatable and personal. So this is Churchill in Canada. And what I want to do is not just have the landscape, but actually to make you have a sense of looking across. That connection which raises a sense of another sentient being. A hippo looking straight back at you, including a little fish on the corner. This is a critically endangered antelope called the saiga, from the realms of Russia near the Caspian Sea all the way to Uzbekistan through to China. It's interesting how we think of nature in terms of communicating the force of nature. Often films like Avatar and Life of Pi use bifluorescence. These fireflies from southern Japan, often referred to by the locals as the spirits of their ancestors. And it's the way that we use language. These are actually sea slugs, but they look like angels. They're called sea angels. The crested macaque here, again a critically endangered species. This guy lives at the highest altitude of any primate. You see the nose, it's literally adapted. They're near the Tibetan plateau. The Yunnan snub-nosed monkey almost looks like it's had extreme cosmetic surgery. What's interesting about an image like this is at one level we don't know the animal. Many people wouldn't know this is a Pi tamarin. So it's interesting, if I said Yoda, there's instant recognition. So the interesting thing is you can have an animal that we kind of, that we know, but is slipping into oblivion. And so the challenge is to make it relatable. There's a culture critic that described modernity as the disappearance of wildlife in humanity's habitat and its reappearance and reflections of itself. Now here, for example, I don't know how any of you saw this film called Rio. And it was a film about an endangered parrot. But in fact, the parrot had become extinct in Brazil, in Catina, in 1980. And I was part of a team that went back to reintroduce this bird. And on the day we reintroduced it into the wild, the first bird in human history to be reintroduced back into the wild, I must add, the Spix macaw. They put it on Christ the Redeemer. I think last time was the Olympic Games. So it's interesting that the interest from the film might have helped the conservation project. So going back to my cultural critic, the irony that the reflections of itself. So some images like this, these are the red-crowned cranes. Now if you look at Chinese art, Japanese art, you'll often see them in Hokusai and many things. And they represent a long life, fidelity. But what's interesting is that even though they're so symbolic, it often drives a demand for the feathers. In the 1920s, they were down to only 23 birds. With ecotourism today, so they're less than in this picture. Today, there are, of course, the population's gone on to about 3,000. And this is another bird. This is an extraordinary bird. This is the Philippine eagle. It's got a wingspan longer than any other bird of prey. It hunts monkeys. They work in pairs. And it's the national symbol of the country. So finally, I'm working on a book on cats at the moment. I'm only at the beginning of it. I'm not seeing the full picture. But what I said is it's never before been more important to connect people to nature. And that our future depends on it. And I just want to say it's amazing to hear the work you've been doing and the technical work. What I would say about any kind of, I might be a communicator, but it involves many actors. It involves those who can support the natural world, and that might be scientists, police investigators, many different people, but it involves a team of different actors, I think, to make change. We must care. If we truly care, we can bring these animals back from the edge of extinction. So thank you very much. Is the plan to go up here?
Yeah, we got it.
Thank you, Mr. Keshav and Mr. Tim, for sharing your thoughts today with us. Now I would request you all, if you have any questions from Mr. Keshav or Mr. Tim, please go forward. I'll rotate the mic. Please raise your hand if you have a question.
Yeah. This is a very good question. And when I started investigating this case, I was also wondering why lions? Tigers are very common. So this was one question. And the other question was, where was it going? What was the need? So the tiger parts and the bones of lions, they all were being exported to the forest countries for medicinal purposes and so on and so forth. But the moot question still arose that why lions? Because lions had never been poached again in the yesteryears. So the answer that I came to know after investigating this case was that the lion bone and the tiger bone, you cannot distinguish between the two with your naked eyes. At that point of time, there was a great demand for tiger bones. And in most of the sanctuaries, there are absolutely no tigers left. So what they were doing, they were passing off the lion bones as a tiger bone. Because when a person is going to buy the tiger bone or the lion bone, he will not say, wait, I will do the DNA fingerprinting and then if I come to know that it is tiger only, then I will buy. No. He has to immediately take it and run away from there. So, this was the basic strategy and that is why lions were poached. I hope I answered both your questions. Yeah.
My voice is big anyway. Thank you. It was amazing. By accidentally, I came because Ajayji and from the Dipakji's office has invited, and I think I would have missed a great session actually. So thank you for this. My question to you, because I have seen one of your slides, lesson learning, because this is the first time obviously you use forensic evidence and then it's been proved and then obviously culprit has been caught up. The question is, because I'm from Assam and we are very popular for one-horn rhino. How your what you have done, can this be implemented back in Northeast as well? Because one-horn rhino is only available in Assam. So, and we do know, because I live very near to Kaziranga. So my house is in Golaghat district. So I do know, we hear okay, today is one-horn, mar gaya, kal ek mar diya. It's they come through the river and they do it. And we do know that that's that there's locals involved and all. But if we can implement it, something what you have done, it would be amazing. We can actually preserve these animals, We will see more tigers, we'll see more rhinos in our land. And we know how rich we are, in that side of the part of India. That's my first question. Second question to team. is
Can I answer the first
Yes,
question?
please. Thank you, sir.
So incidentally, in the year 2013, the Assam government, they formed an anti-rhino poaching task force. And somehow, this case came to the notice and they made me a member in
Excellent.
that anti-rhino poaching task force.
Excellent.
So in that forum, and I was invited by the Guwahati High Court with all the judges and all, and I shared my thoughts that how we can possibly use forensics in rhinoceros in anti-poaching. So to tell you very honestly, I studied the pattern of the rhino killings, and I found out that most of the rhinos were killed by firearms, and they had a number of such cases. And they were, very few cases were detected. So I suggested in 2013 also, and now incidentally, the God has been kind to me. In the year 2022, the Assam government has appointed me as their advisor in forensics. So, I have again taken away from that 2013 part.
So we
and
have
what
an
I suggested to them, if little forensics I would like to share with you, when a bullet is fired from a rifle or any gun, the gun also has the signature of that bullet, and the bullet also has a signature of that barrel. So what I suggested to them, that all the weapons that have been seized and all the bullets that have been found from the carcass of the rhinoceros or maybe here and there, all the empty cartridges, if we develop the signature profiling of that bullet and the casing, then I am very sure, like fingerprinting matching, if we are able to match even one case, so sitting in the armchair, sitting in the office, we'll be able to detect a number of cases. So this is again my suggestion to them, and I'm sure that they are going to adhere to my suggestion. So this is how I'm contributing to Assam culture also, and I'm very happy to tell you that my son-in-law is an Assamese, so I have more interest in this.
Fascinating, sir. Thank you. And I think lately we are finding less and less kind of a poaching in Assam.
True.
So which is good because we see rhinos everywhere in Assam, Pabitara or Kaziranga or anywhere you go, which is we are very lucky anyway in Assam. And team, it's fascinating to see the photographs. I think everybody will agree. Some of the animals you have shown us today, we haven't probably seen it before. So thank you very much for today. And I think credit goes to Keshav sir today. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Hi, some question for Tim about the vultures. I was actually lucky enough to see, as I was, driving down from the Himalayan foothills in Himachal, through some forest, and I saw a whole family of vultures, just sitting on trees, on a tree, just babies and adults, and it was just, I couldn't believe it, the driver of the car had no idea you were going to see anything like that. And I have read that the population is depleted because of agriculture, because of some kind of...
It's Decaphilic is a kind of anti-inflammatory that in India was administered to the cattle.
Yeah.
And I know the government's been very much on that now, and the numbers come back. But unfortunately, vultures don't reproduce very fast, and they live sometimes to 60, even 70 years. So it takes a long time for them to bounce back. But of course, it took a while to identify why were the vultures, particularly in India, why the population collapsed by 95%.
But has that product been banned now, or is it still...
I believe it has, but I think it's going to take a long time to bounce back. And in the meanwhile, as we were speaking about the relationship between biodiversity and health, the vultures are very important in terms of health. And I think there was significant rise in the feral dog population because there wasn't the carrion, like the carcasses, animals to feed off them.
But are things improving now? Or
They are, but I think it's going to be slow because they, as I say, they don't breed very fast and slow. But interestingly enough, in Africa, there's similar collapse in the population. but for different reasons, but has other consequences. So, for example, you get a lot of hyenas, and then the hyenas take on the cheetahs, and the cheetahs can't breed, and now they're becoming endangered. So the whole ecology gets knocked on. But also in India, there are many funeral rites that can't be observed in the traditional way that there would have been, because there aren't enough vultures.
And for Keshav, sir, is there any success in breaking these rings? It's for you, Detective Inspector Keshav.
I'm not able to hear.
Is there any way of breaking the rings that control that these poachers work for? The rings of that actually